Hey guys, Gavin here from UltimateReloader.com. I'm here at the 2025 SHOT Show with Emil Praslick. Emil, thank you for joining me yet again on the channel.
My pleasure, Gavin.
I love talking to you every year here at the SHOT Show.
Yeah, it's okay. It gives me a break from the floor and the madness, so I can geek out with you a little bit, so it's a lot of fun.
So you're representing brands like Berger, Lapua, Fitivori, and can you tell me about new stuff for 2025?
Sure. We'll start with Berger. So we're introducing some new loaded ammunition for this year. So we have, so one of the new cases that we've got is 30-06.
Nice.
Sorry, I should say new ammunition, 30-06. So we'll have some 30-06 loaded ammunition this year, 300 WSM. We'll have, and those are all going to be loaded with Berger bullets, Berger projectiles. Yeah. So expect to see some hunting offerings in both of those, and also some target offerings in both of those.
Very cool. I don't know if you knew this, but I'm actually midway through a 300 WSM build right now.
Oh, okay.
And have some Lapua cases sitting on the bench next to the lathe. So
it's great. I mean, it's great brass, great cartridge cases. You know, and the Lapua cases are, in terms of consistency, you can open up every box, any box. Within a lot of cartridge cases, I know in some applications guys like to really go through their stuff, but for most any application, the concept of weighing cases or sorting cases by volume or whatever, it's really not beneficial to do with Lapua cartridge cases.
I completely agree, and some of our absolute best factory loaded ammo or virgin brass results that we've gotten have been with Lapua cases. Specifically, the 6.5 Creedmoor comes to mind, along with one of the rifle builds, and absolutely 223 Remington. With those 77 grain OTMs, factory ammo right out of the Berger box has printed consistent groups in the ones, group after group, 5-shot groups at 100 yards. That's just evidence of, like, in a competitive environment like PRS or something like that. So you're in the TAC division, right? PRS shooting 223. What more do you need? That's not going to limit you at all to be using factory.
It's not an obvious selling point, but if you have a rifle in a particular cartridge and you buy factory Berger ammunition or factory Lapua ammunition, it'll perform very, very well. But after it, you have fired Lapua cases for your rifle if you are a reloader. Yeah. You know, so it does sort of amortize that cost of like buying, because commercial ammunition is more expensive than reloading your own, but sometimes after you go through the whole process of buying all the equipment and getting trained on it, having all these things, for a lot of people, buying ammunition is the most cost-effective and easiest route for them to do.
Especially when time is money, right? Exactly. Not everybody has the time, you know. If you have the time and enjoy it, awesome. And then maybe you buy it, shoot it, and then reload it later, right? Like you're saying, you're recycling your investment.
And on Berger, we have a new bullet. You're familiar with the 6.8, the next generation Army rifle. So that is the civilian cartridge name is the 277 Fury. Yep. The SIG cartridge, and the 6.8mm next generation rifle. It's a it's very, very high pressure round.
80K PSI approximately.
I think the SAMI spec is somewhere like that. Yeah. Right. So we're trying to be part of an effort to create an accurate sort of an OTM match round that will fit that application, as well as giving another target bullet for the 277 family. So it's a 150 grain hybrid. G7 BC of around 0.3. It's not pointed or anything, but it shoots extremely well. I mean, it shoots little tiny groups. So it's going to be another. We know how people are in the shooting world. Like if you have a bullet, someone's going to figure out an application for that bullet.
Yeah.
Right. Like, okay, well, I'll build this, I'll wildcat this, or whatever. But that's a new bullet that we're finalizing everything right now. We're still loading test things like that. But it's in the catalog. We'll have it for sale later on this year, probably by the summer.
Cool.
We'll have production runs in it. So I'm personally pretty excited about it because it was a pretty fast turnaround for a request from some of the different agencies that are chasing some of these things down. So, and that's really how a lot of stuff in the modern era, probably the last 10, 15 years, within precision small arms, it used to be that the government said, we've got this thing we want to do, so we're just going to make a thing that does that, and that's the bullet. And what's happened probably the last 10, 15 years is more military guys, special operations guys in particular, have become competitive shooters. They see what the civilian market is shooting. They see what the civilian competitors are doing, and they go, wow, wouldn't that be great if I had that in my toolkit as an operator or as whatever. And so you're seeing target competitive solutions being applied within the military sort of framework for sniper stuff specifically, especially. So this is, again, one of these things that we're trying to have an industry solution that maybe helps the warfighter down the road.
Kind of makes sense because things that are related to the government tend to run at a slower pace. And in a competition environment like PRS, it's like you can go as fast as you want with innovation, with new products, with trying different things, showing results, and then, hey, look at what they were able to achieve over here, and what if we put it into this? Yeah,
flash to bang time is actually getting quite a bit better. That's like maybe a whole other topic for a podcast. But the government's gotten a lot better on their time to reaction. But you have to have all these kind of things in place already from a logistical standpoint, from a testing standpoint, from a standard standpoint, for writing specifications and due diligence and establishing testing protocols and procedures. That's a pretty heavy lift that has to go along with everything. But yeah, so we're excited about the new bullet.
Very cool.
And then kind of moving, no particular order, but for Lapua, they've been pretty busy over there. We've got 2 new cartridge cases. We've got the 6GT, which those cases should be on the water right now. I know we announced it last year. We were supposed to have it, by November or so of 24, but they're like on the water right now. So they should be hitting the distributors, things like that, I would say within the next couple of months. We finally got the go-ahead from Lapua to produce the Dasher.
Very cool. Yep.
One of the big holdups with that is getting... So large cartridge case manufacturers really don't want to create something that is not CIP or SAMI approved.
Right.
Unless it's their own proprietary thing. Like, say, Hornady makes a cartridge, and they just want to sell it and run it themselves. Not a big deal, or federal, right? But for like a company that just makes a component, like Lapua or RUAG or RWS, whatever, those guys, they don't really like making something that isn't already a CIP or semi-approved cartridge. So they've been shepherding Dasher through like the CIP process. So it was actually the Italians that proposed Dasher to be an approved CIP cartridge. And what we did was we went to the Dasher community and the people that were maybe already making cartridge cases for Dasher in the US, so that if we introduced a case, it should be able to go right in these existing chambers and everything else. So you should be seeing Dasher probably Q3, Q4 of this year, and then also 7PRC.
Oh, nice.
7PRC, we got that to the top of the list. So in our, we collect a lot of metrics. We have a technical support line that people can call. And we've got guys that are there answering the phones Monday through Friday, and they're all very experienced hand loaders and shooters, with all kinds of bench rest and long range shooting and F-class and PRS. They collect all this data, and the most frequently requested new cartridge was 7 PRC for like the last year.
And if I'm not mistaken, that means that Lapua will have 6.5, 7, and 300.
Correct.
There you go.
And we don't think there's going to be a lot of cannibalization because there's like a lot of stratification within like the PRC environment. So a lot of F-class guys were taking 6.5 PRC and necking it up to 7 because they like shooting that Berger 180 grain hybrid bullet in 7mm. So we're pretty excited that we've got that done. So we'll have a Lapua 7 PRC cartridge case as well.
Very cool.
And on the bullet side, something that we've been trying to push Lapua towards for a few years now is to create a high performance bullet. So some of the Lapua long range bullets, they don't really have like the high BCs that like especially the American consumer wants. American shooters, especially in the PRS crowd, they are consumed by BC number. And I get it. I don't think it means as much as people think it does. Having shoot a lot of ground on rifle ranges over the decades, small groups win matches, tight elevations win matches, wind drift. If something is 2 inches inside you in a full value 10-mile-an-hour wind over something else, that's probably doesn't mean as much as you might think it does. But Lapua is introducing, they have a 144 grain 6.5mm bullet. It's called the Max Range Target, which will probably be truncated to MRTs or something like that, I'm sure. But it's got a BC, a radar tested G7 BC of 335, which puts it right there in the conversation with all the other high BC bullets in the 140 class.
Very cool.
And it's a non-pointed bullet, so it's not tipped or anything. It's a traditional. The Lapua Miplas tend to be a little bit thinner than Bergers, certainly. But yeah, and I'm sure it's going to shoot extremely well. And so they're going to be working on 30 caliber bullets coming soon. Probably this year they'll have a 30 caliber version, and probably 6mm to follow, and 7. So they really want to stake in this very, very competitive, BC driven long range market. Yeah. And it's not a VLD where it's going to be very finicky for testing and things like that. So I think it's going to have a similar ogive profile to kind of like some of the bullets that we make potentially.
Like similar to the 140 hybrid in that general vicinity?
Right, where there will be more than one ogive on the bullet, so that you have the long nose ballistic advantage, and you have an ogive profile where it contacts the riflings, which makes it very accessible and easy to load for.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying those out for sure.
And on the Vitavori side, N568, which we've had, we're bringing more and more of it in, but that is a general purpose magnum powder. It's good for, I would say, 300 Norma or those size cases, up to 338 Norma, 338 Lapua, and even into some of the 375. N570 was kind of the older legacy powder in that burn rate range, but 568, it's a different burn rate, and it has shorter kernels. We had problems internally using N570 because the kernel length was so long, we would get bridging in any kind of volumetric powder measuring. So the length of the kernels, they would just kind of like interlock, and you'd have these kind of clogs. Technical term is bridging. So they use some different types of coatings and shorten the kernel length, so it's a lot easier to trickle and everything else.
So while trying to preserve the proper burn rate, obviously, that's going to be an interesting powder development and manufacturing challenge.
Yeah, and so everybody that we've sent this powder to, they really like it a lot, especially in those sort of cartridge, because there are a ton of Wildcats. When you start going into the 338 land, you know, the 338 Edge and all these other types of Wildcats, it's a great candidate powder for that stuff.
Very cool.
I think that's it in terms of like our new products. Other than that, we've made a Herculean effort to up our production to where consumers can find high demand bullets in the stores. So right now you could go to any one of like our normal big distributors and find 105 hybrids on the shelves.
Nice.
Yes.
One of my all-time favorite bullets, by the way.
Yeah, and 140s and our all of our high demand bullets. We are making a major effort to get those out there. If you don't think you can find them, plug them into the internet machine, the ammo seek, or whatever it is that you're using. No endorsement intended or anything like that, but like any one of these sort of aggregating database things, or just call, and I think people will be surprised of how many bullets we're actually putting on the shelves right now. It's
Very
important to us.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that the bullets that the legacy bullets that people rely on, especially like the 105 and like the 109, that they are available for consumers. So please check. We are really making an effort to up our production rate.
That's good.
Like the machines are running nonstop.
Yeah, I know people, for instance, were waiting for Burger 105s at certain periods of time. Very popular PRS bullet.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, last year our back order was like 35 million bullets. Right? So we brought more bullet machines online.
Yeah.
We brought more jacket machines online. We're running 2 shifts down there.
Wow.
And here's the thing about Burger bullets. When we have a 300-meter test tunnel across the parking lot, when we make bullets, we shoot twice a day.
Nice.
At least. So while a lot is in production, they go across the parking lot and we shoot at 300 meters. And if they're not shooting 1 inch or so at 300 meters in our test barrel and our known accuracy load, we know we're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So again, just because we're upping production doesn't mean that we're sacrificing performance or consistency or anything. We're still the same exact standards and quality assurance.
I love that because the only thing that really matters at the end of the day is what happens on target.
Yeah, we're also checking BC because we can measure BC fairly accurately. We're getting time of flight data at 300 meters. So we're also checking BC. We're checking our standard deviation of ballistic coefficient in production.
Yeah.
Because we know another thing that drives consumers towards Burger bullets, and one thing that separates us from our competitors is the standard deviation of the ballistic coefficient. So if you measure all the BCs of a test, however, you can measure time of flight. I know that you were thinking about doing some of those testing types of things. You can set microphones up downrange and then solve for the time that it's going to take for the bullet crack to meet the microphone. You can get very accurate time to flight data.
Yeah.
That's how Brian Litz did all of his real world BCs before he got a radar. And so that's essentially what we're doing. And so if you measure BCs every shot, just like you would for muzzle velocity, and then you get an average BC for that 10 or 20 shots, then you take each one of those BC measurements and then you apply a standard deviation formula for them. A superior bullet has a 1% or better standard deviation of BC. And that's our target. We make any bullet.
Yeah.
Is to get, if it's above 1%, we have to figure out why that's not happening.
Yeah.
And if you test bullets from across the spectrum, it's pretty rare to find one less than 1%. I just tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, and in my prior conversation with Brian, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, we talked about that, the fact that, known distance, we have laser rangefinders, we have the ballistic solvers. It's not the drop of the bullet, it's the consistency of the drop of the bullet. Right?
And the farther out you get, you may never see it at 200 or 300, maybe even 600. But if you start pushing past that, especially as the bullet gets towards transonic, it becomes unmanageable if you're above, say, 2% or 2.5%.
And we have at our Ridgeline 1,390 yards steel setup. And we're shooting things like 22 GT, sometimes getting down into the 800 feet per second, I want to say, when it arrives at the target, 700 and high 700s. And it's pretty amazing what you can do when you have tight control over everything and you don't have ridiculous wind.
What bullet are you shooting out of the 22 GT? What weight range of bullets?
I'm trying to remember exactly what bullet that was. I'm wondering if that was the 77 grain OTM.
Does like an 85 or so grain? Because so we've got a bullet that we made for an industry partner that wanted to launch a cartridge. Okay, we took a little bit too long making the bullet, so they ended up not using it. But we have an 85.5 grain LRHT, so that is a tipped at the factory 22 cal bullet. And it was designed to be shot out to 1,000, 1,100 out of a, an upgraded sort of 223 case, right?
223 AI or something like that.
Or Valkyrie or something like that. So,
gotcha.
I mean, it might be a great candidate bullet for you. Again, it has, if you look at BC stuff, we've got our legacy 90 grain VLD bullet that like a lot of the prone guys like to use, but that's a really tricky bullet to shoot because of like you're gonna need fairly tight twist rates and whatever. But that 85.5 should stabilize out of a 7 twist or 7.5 twist barrel easily.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a great bullet. It really is. It could be a game changer at long range for 22 caliber.
Yeah, I've been impressed at what the 22 caliber is really capable of with the custom rifle and hand loads, and really good zero, really good measurement of velocity, leaving nothing to chance.
Right.
So very cool. So thank you for the updates. What I want to know from you all is, of all of those new products or product updates that we had talked about, what are you most interested in? You know that the 300 Wisdom is coming because I'm working on that build right now, but is there anything else in particular? I'm definitely thinking about the max range target bullet as being one that I want to play with, the 144. That sounds, oh man, I got so many things to do with that. But what else is there that you all want to see? Drop a comment down in the comment section. We'll make a note of that, and we'll have that influence our plans for the year. So anyhow, thank you very much,
My pleasure,
Emil,
Gavin.
again, and you're not far away. You got to come over.
I will. You live on the non-commie side of the state. I love going over there.
You know it.
You start going down the hill. You start seeing like the good politician signs, right? So yeah, I would love to come out.
Okay,
Absolutely love it.
We'll make it happen. Thank you all for watching. Look out for more 2025 SHOT Show updates. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're watching Ultimate Reloader on TV and want to take advantage of free resources, exclusives, and hot deals, just hold your camera phone up to the QR code, tap on the link, fill out the information, boom, you're getting Ultimate Reloader emails. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. Thanks again for watching.